Hello, my name is Casey Forte, and I will be giving you a solutions report on clean water and the many challenges that come with it. So, let's begin. Water. It is life's most basic need. Clean water is essential to produce life, food, clothing, technology, paper, cotton, and much more. Our clean water comes from natural sources that are either groundwater or surface water. Groundwater comes from aquifers. We use water wells or springs to harvest this groundwater. As for surface water, we access it from rivers, lakes, and streams. Ground and surface water are replenished, purified, and circulated over and over by what is known as the hydraulic cycle. This cycle can be broken down into 7 simple steps. First, evaporation. Water absorbs heat energy from the sun and turns into vapors. Water bodies like oceans, lakes, and rivers are the main source of evaporation. Through evaporation, water moves from the hydrosphere to the atmosphere. Next is condensation. Water vapor rises in the atmosphere, changes into very tiny particles of ice or water droplets. These particles come close together to form clouds and fog in the sky. Next, you have sublimation, which is a process where ice directly converts into water vapors without converting into liquid water. Next, precipitation. The clouds, also known as condensed water vapors, then pour down as precipitation due to temperature or wind change. Water droplets then fall from the sky. Next is transportation. As the water falls, some of it is absorbed by the soil and the roots of the plants. The water is then pushed towards its leaves where it's used to form photosynthesis. The extra water is moved out of the leaves and enters the biosphere. Next is the runoff stage. It's the process where water runs off of the surface of the earth. As water runs over the ground, it displaces the topsoil. With it moves minerals along with the stream. This runoff combines to form channels, and then rivers, and ends up into lakes, seas, and ocean. Just one cycle. Lastly, infiltration. Water gets stored into soil, seeps down, and increases the level of groundwater. It is pure and drinkable. There are many factors that cause scarcity for clean water in the world. First is our consumption. Only 2.5% of the Earth's water is fresh water. Of that 2.5%, 1.2% is fresh water, 30.1% is groundwater, and 68.7% of our fresh water on Earth is contained in glaciers and ice caps. For all of the water consumed on Earth, 70% goes to agriculture, 20% to industrial, and 10% for domestic use. For example, a simple pair of new jeans in total amount of embedded water use is 3,000 gallons for a single pair. And for 1 pound of beef, the virtual water content is 1,500 gallons. And for 1 pound of wheat is 172 gallons of water. Did you know an estimated 790 million people, 11% of the world's population, lives without an access to an improved water supply? Or that an estimated 1.8 billion people, 25% of the world's population, lives without access to an adequate sanitation of their water? And that by 2025, 2/3 of the world's population will be living in water-stressed regions as a result of consumption, population growth, and climate change? More than 40% of our world's population is already affected by water scarcity, and unfortunately, water scarcity is just one of the many challenges the world faces just to keep a steady supply of drinking water. Now I'd like to give you some information on pollution to our water. First, Pollution is another major problem for our water. Examples such as oil spills, human waste. An estimated 14 billion pounds of garbage, mostly plastic, is dumped into the ocean every single year. This picture right here was taken in the Caribbean Sea and is referred to as the Trash Island. It is one of the many floating masses of garbage we have in our oceans today. Also, more pollution to our water is pesticides and chemicals added to soil. Irrigating soil at a rate that exceeds the infiltration rate promotes runoff that can carry pesticides with it. Irrigation that promotes the frequent downward movement of water beyond the root zone of plants also promotes the leaching of substances, including pesticides, to groundwater. This is a concern in areas where frequent irrigation is necessary because of coarse, textured soils. Proper irrigation management is critical to minimize the risk of pesticides infiltrating groundwater. Next, I want to talk about solutions to limit the individual water consumption and waste. Obviously, not every individual is tied into the two largest consumers of water, which is agriculture and industrial background, but I want to focus on conscious steps we can take for individual water conservation. For residential water conservation, there are many steps an individual household can take to ensure that they're using their water efficiently, such as updating your clothes washing machine. Conventional washers built before 2011 typically use about 40 gallons per load. Resource-efficient washers may use as little as 15 gallons per load. Next, fixing or installing efficient faucets. The US EPA WaterSense program labels efficient faucets and aerators that use a maximum of 1.5 gallons per minute. Next, just simply take shorter showers. Replace shower heads that have a flow rate greater than 2.5 gallons per minute, the current National Energy Policy Act standard. Individuals can use a water audit to conserve water. The International Water Association states water auditing is a method of quantifying water flows and quality in simple or complex systems with a view of reducing water usage and often saving money on otherwise unnecessary water use. There is an increasing awareness around the globe of the centrality of water to our lives. The awareness crosses political and social boundaries. In many places, people have difficult access to drinking water. Often, it's polluted. Water auditing is a mechanism for conserving water, which will grow in significance in the future as demand for water increases. So, in conclusion, through the research and the facts that I have collected, I've learned that we cannot take our water for granted and that every drop truly counts. I feel one of the real problems that we have today is that the media and individuals aren't talking about these problems and facts, and there needs to be more of an awareness on the water crisis that we're facing today and for our future. Every individual can act in helping preserve and conserve clean water. So, take the proper steps. Update your appliances. Take shorter showers. And next time you brush your teeth, just turn the faucet off. You could save up to 12 liters of water each time you brush your teeth. So, the last thing that I want to leave you with today is to just return back to the fact that I stated earlier about how in 2025, two-thirds of the world's population is going to be living in water-stressed regions as a result of our use, growth, and our climate change. Day by day, we approach more and more water scarcity problems and pollution. There's 7 billion people on Earth today. If every single individual takes the proper steps, conservations, and is held accountable for their actions, we could still make a change to actively decrease our water consumption. So, I will ask you, what will you do to conserve our water?